Now, one of the hot debates in the industry surrounds the evolution of 3D. The technology's here and the pictures look great, but will the demand justify the cost? Senior sports broadcasters addressed that very question on the first day of this year's IBC conference. Our reporter George Hurd was at the session.
3D or not 3D? That really does seem to be the question. British broadcaster Sky's already thrown down the gauntlet with its announcement it plans to launch the UK's first 3D TV channel next year. But is the rest of the industry ready to follow? In the opening address of this year's IBC conference, sports broadcasting was under the spotlight, where it was a hot topic for one of the industry's leading figures.
Our income comes from advertising, so we can't pass that cost on to the consumer. It's something that we have to bear, and I think that it will be an impossibility that when 3D comes along, that broadcasters are going to embrace it if it costs us money.
But 3D is just part of the picture for an audience with an insatiable appetite for sport. Certainly on display is the Netherlands played Scotland in their World Cup qualifier this week. And in 2012, London has the Olympic Games. The host national broadcaster, the BBC, will be looking to technology to help raise its game.
We just think that everyone should have access to every hour of the Olympics. And in the past, traditional broadcasters, as we used to be, used to choose it and select it. We now think the audience should have access to everything it wants to have. So we said, 5,000 hours of content, let's make 5,000 hours available.
But public taste is changing, certainly according to the broadcast director of Eurosports. He told the conference audience that it was another challenge to meet.
People want more and more, they want to watch spectacular shows. So you need to bring more technologies with a kind of Hollywood process even for sports. So I think that's the main driver, I think, right?
So where next for sports broadcasting? Faster, quicker, more emotion, controversy. And then there's the issue of this, 3D. Fox Sports still needs to be convinced it's going to work as a business model. In the words of a fictional sporting agent, it's a case of show me the money.
George Hurd reporting there from the first of this year's IBC conference sessions. So now let's see what's on at the conference today, and we start off in the forum. Proceedings begin with a session called Inside Out. Are big customers ever going to buy product again? It's a look at the structure of business deals and the trend towards complete solutions rather than point products coming from a number of suppliers. That's at 9 o'clock. Next up at 11:15, the day's keynote session, where the subject is growth opportunities in media and broadcasting. A panel of 3 experts will analyse the latest business models. They'll be seeing how traditional broadcasters can maintain their income streams as new delivery platforms and channels provide more viewer choice. The afternoon topic is cloud production and delivery. More bandwidth and better connectivity mean broadcasters can now consider web-based solutions. That could mean less dependence on local hardware and software platforms. There are 6 speakers and the session starts at 1:30. Moving to room L, the day starts at 9, focusing on the newest developments in IPTV. It's one of the industry's hottest topics, and the session will cover a number of application areas. At 11:15, there's a look at the JPEG 2000. 9 panellists will be discussing the merits of the codec and the moves towards making it a leading compression standard. This is a new added value session and an addition to the conference timetable. Now to room O, and at 11 there's a business briefing on digital signage. It'll examine the need for high-definition screens and see how users can get the best from the latest technology. And the briefing continues in the afternoon with a look at how signage can be made brighter while using less power. Finally, in room O, there's a session on user-generated content. UGC can bring down production costs, but what about quality? Students from 4 different countries have been flown in by IBC to talk about how they use all forms of new media. What can we learn from their experience? This promises to be a fascinating session, and it starts at 3:30. Now, we all know about the pressures to bring down production costs, but how cheaply can a programme be made? There's a man at this year's IBC who's co-produced a documentary series shot entirely on a mobile phone. What's more, it's being shown on television. The man in question is Alan McLennan, and the series is called Africa Diaries. I caught up with him yesterday in IBC's Wi-Fi zone.
It is. It's a full series, a 12-segment series done by famed writer and director Kit Carson and Cynthia Hartgrove, his producer. It was something that was, when they were in Africa last year, shooting on another assignment, realized in the process they were able to use their phone and actually put themselves into a better position in a less intrusive manner and capture more spontaneous responses from their subjects.
And this is Kit Carson, a feature film director, using a mobile phone.
This is one of the unique aspects of it. User-generated content has been around for some time. Here in the States, we have a network called Current, Al Gore's channel, that has been doing some fantastic news capturing with user-generated content. Certainly we know that we wouldn't have been able to see the Iranian revolt recently without that as well being twittered out and around. However, in this particular instance, this is the first time that's actually been staged and structured in the form of an actual documentary in a process. So much so that the Sundance Channel got wind of this in the process and recognized that they wanted to be able to take this and put it together in a full television series, which will then be the first of its kind actually shot on a mobile phone and then aired on a U.S. network.
What's the quality like?
As far as specifics, I can't really get into that, but it's high quality. But in preparing it for actual broadcast, this has been put together within some of the most famous post-production facilities that we know, at least here in the United States. Ken Burns' post-production facility in Vermont. He's a very famed documentary filmmaker with all of his Civil War on and on type of styles, as well as an award-winning musical producer and director that is putting together the soundtrack behind this. So when Kit and Cynthia discovered this new format and fully embraced it, they were able to basically enable a whole new film production group and have their discovery of this and basically embrace it.
Absolutely astonishing story. Alan, thank you so much for talking to us about it.
You're welcome. Pleasure's mine.
Alan McLennan talking to me yesterday about his documentary series. Well, that's nearly all we have time for today. You can see more news and features on our website. You'll find us at ibctvnews.com. And if you're attending the show and wish to travel around Amsterdam, let me remind you that you can ride free on the city's trams, buses and metro. Just pick up your travel pass at any of the information points around the IBC site. A word about IBC's new game zone. You'll find it in Hall 10, and if you like game consoles and get a moment to relax, this would be a very good place to go. Finally, an announcement. This year's IBC International Honour for Excellence has been awarded to New York's Metropolitan Opera. The opera has a reputation for pioneering new technology, and its performances can be seen in digital cinemas around the world. Well, thank you for watching IBC TV News. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Do join us then.